The quit smoking using Kratom story. Yo, what's up? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report is coming from SeroZero off Eurowood, where he took tobacco and Kratom, and here's the full report details. Okay, so here we got a pretty interesting report involving a tobacco addiction and how Kratom was used to treat it. This report goes into the culture of tobacco pretty well, and alcohol somewhat, and how often it can be a part of and tied to work environments. SeroZero talks about how he felt influenced into smoking cigarettes, and before he knew it, was buying them himself and developed an addiction. He had a hard time getting off, tried a few different things, but it wasn't until he came around to Kratom did he find some grace. Kratom in low doses can be like a coffee of sorts, and here it showed to reduce his tobacco cravings big time. And with careful dosing, he explains how he got off tobacco. This is really insightful and shows how Kratom could be a tool for addiction, even if it isn't opiates. We'd love to hear what you guys think of this, and share if you have any similar experience yourself. But I'm sure you'll enjoy this, so without further ado, let's dive right into it. I'm a 23-year-old law student on his final year. Since I live alone, I also make a living as a part-time federal office drone. This is important because there's something about government work that sucks the soul out of its drones that I've never encountered working in the private sector before. I think it's because the machine is simply too big and one feels like an insignificant little piece working to achieve ends beyond his ability to even understand. We are mostly stuck doing insignificant work. The hiring guide even tells you that while the work you might do might be considered childlike, crap, borderline useless normally, remember that you are in service of a higher calling, and yada yada. That entails no intellectual performance, no originality, no individuality. In that sort of culture, drug use is rampant as the only steam valve available to open. This is made abundantly clear in, for example, the Japanese salaryman culture, where office workers are often spotted in trains or subways late in the night, early in the morning, drunk off their saddle, and slumped over in a stupor after working impossibly long overtime hours that can stretch well into the double digits per day. Long story short, a lot of public servants smoke, and a lot of them drink. Although this is purely from observation and experience, the rate of smoking addiction and alcoholism seems much higher than in an average sample of the population. I never understood why any of the above was appealing to anyone, until I got addicted to the first. I never liked the second. I was always more of a cannabis guy, a habit. I partook every day for 6 months. I had no difficulty whatsoever to kick it. Like most people, I never really wanted a nicotine addiction. It crept up on me, without warning. It is very insidious. It started off by bumming a cigarette every now and then from a colleague on my break. There's something about filling your lungs full of smoke that makes one feel alive. It certainly did for me. I love the warm feeling of the smoke dancing around in my lungs. I've even thought of smoking catnip just for the feeling. It just makes me feel so much less empty than usual. In addition, nicotine is quite the powerful anxiolytic, which really helps with the aforementioned anxiety from feeling so small, tiny, and useless at work. A long time ago, I bought a pack. I smoked 2 a day, but only at work. Then it was 3, then 5, then 8, at work and at home. I buy more packs. Then one time, I didn't have any smokes on a holiday where all the stores were closed. I felt like crap, irritable, sleepy, lethargic, uncomfortable in my own skin, and I felt those notorious mental cravings all day. And that's when I knew I was addicted. It didn't bother me since I had just been smoking for a few months at that time. I wasn't ready to quit yet. Smoking was just too convenient and legal, especially at work. I decided to quit when I lit one at work and felt incredibly nauseous. Same brand as always, same circumstances as always. Maybe it was a bad batch. Either way, that experience made a light bulb flare up above my head. I was paying a fortune to kill myself slowly. Never mind the stimulating anxiolytic, never mind the smoke in my lungs. I don't want to die anytime before I absolutely have to. So on I went to a glorious adventure, quitting cigarettes. Even though I easily put aside my weed habit, I knew this would be a different beast because of how I felt when I skipped a day of fixes. I tried cold turkey a few times, a complete and utter disaster. I never made it past day 3. I attribute this to the fact that I used to smoke quite strong cigarettes, classic Dunhills, Hunter S. Thompson's brand. The government says that cigarette cravings last just 2 to 3 minutes. I'm telling you, this is complete and utter crap. I timed one once, and it lasted around 20 minutes. That's a long time to go with only one thing on your mind, especially because I felt them so strongly that my mind would project the smoking permitted sign, a lit cigarette with a green circle around it, in my vision non-stop for those 20 minutes. It wasn't a hallucination nor a visual, just what happens when you concentrate on a thought. You can see a faint outline of it in your head that translates to seeing it in your visual field. In this case, it was completely involuntary. I could not stop thinking about the cancer sticks, no matter what I tried. So I felt under the throttle weakness and always ended up buying a pack. Other symptoms were lethargy, hacking out disgusting globs of mucus that coated my throat's irritated areas, and a general feeling of discomfort, almost like fever. One notable case was when I was undergoing the classic irritability for nicotine withdrawal, and my girlfriend was so annoyed with me, she told me to just go buy a pack and smoke one before she went crazy. Sweet, pure acceptance and rationalization, an addict's worst nightmare. So, of course, I went ahead and bought more smokes. I tried patches. Quitting smoking is perhaps even more expensive than just smoking. The pricing of nicotine patches is completely exorbitant and is quite near outright abuse. Anyway, that didn't work out either. Even on the weakest patches, my arm would hurt and feel very heavy, and my skin would break out at the patched area. I was told I was allergic to the patches, but not the smokes. Finally, the answer came, ironically, at work. The same place that made me start would make me quit. A colleague had told me all about Kratom, this new herb he was using for his migraines. I had tried it in the past for seasonal depression and it felt great. On the uptake, Kratom makes me stimulated, euphoric, concentrated, and possess a misleading clarity of mind, because I find that my short-term memory is affected similarly to when I smoke pot. When I'm at the peak, I feel a very pleasant body buzz, kind of like being wrapped around a warm, soft blanket all day long. On the come down, I feel relaxed, but scatterbrained, and my concentration takes a hit. And I can easily enter waking dreams, where I'm not sleeping, but dreaming, while being unaware of either state of consciousness. So, in accordance to its traditional use, Kratom is very good for manual labor and office droning, but poor for studying, as I find it can make one prone to forgetting material, due to the impairment of short-term memory, even though one feels very awake and mentally present. It can bring one to be quite overconfident in one's retention, in fact. I'd also read it kills nicotine cravings, so I decided to try it more fully. I told my coworker to give me 2 weeks worth and offered to pay him $10 for his trouble. He usually takes it capsulated, but didn't have time to make some for me, so he told me to eyeball it using a slim pill bottle. The same you get for Ativan, I guess. He usually took a full pill bottle, but I took half to 3/4 because I had no tolerance. I took it straight from the bottle with water. This stuff tastes like ass though, but I found out how to take it without tasting it too much. Closing your glottis, Flatten your tongue, keeping the tip under your bottom teeth. Pour water in your mouth, making it a recipient. Then dump some powdered kratom, making sure not to get any on your tongue. As for me, this is what triggers the vomiting reflex. I ended up being able to take my dose in 2 shots at the end. It's somewhat of an art. First day without smokes went like bliss. I did not feel any cravings for nicotine. And the euphoria, pleasant body buzz, and pain-killing attributes of kratom ensured I felt no physical discomfort aside from the glops of mucus in my throat. I felt euphoric and productive. I took it every 2 days, so as not to replace an addiction with another, and also to acquaint my body with the feeling of having nothing psychoactive. 2 weeks later, I stopped the kratom, and I haven't felt a single craving since. In fact, I smoked one just for fun after a week's waiting period. It made me sick more than anything else, and my body rejected the idea of having any more. I'm now a month free of smoking, and my body is thanking me for it. I have no more phlegm, my pulmonary capacity is coming back slowly, and my cardio seems even better than before I started. One thing though, some users report that kratom makes them want to smoke more. I tried having kratom and smoked a cigarette under its influence, back when I still smoked and was not quitting, and I found that smoking with kratom makes one crave nicotine more than normal for a few days or weeks when one takes subsequent kratom doses. It also brings uncomfortable nausea and is not at all pleasant. Well, that concludes my report. I quit an average smoking habit for $10 and no effort, and I can say it was even pleasant. I hope this wonderful herb helps other nickel captive people.